Indiana bats have dark gray or brown fur, which is similar looking to the little brown bats and northern long-eared bats. Indiana bats are 3.5 inches in length with a wingspan of 9.5 to 10.5 inches. Adults weigh 7 grams on average. Scientists can spot the difference between these three species by looking at the size and length of their feet and the hair located on their feet. Indiana bats are found in New Hampshire, Florida, Iowa, Missouri, and Oklahoma. Indiana bats eat beetles, flies, moths, and other flying insects. White nose syndrome refers to the white fungus that grows around the muzzles, wing membranes, or other exposed skin on affected bats. Scientists do not know whether to classify this as a disease, medical condition, or syndrome. They also do not know what causes the fungus to grow or why it has appeared. White nose syndrome attacks hibernating bats, causing them to lose their fat reserves that keep them warm during the winter. The loss of these fat reserves drives bats out into cold temperatures in search for food, which is scarce during the winter. The short supply of food means that while hunting, bats could die. Including the Indiana bats, scientists have found that the little brown bats, big brown bats, small-footed myotis, northern long-eared, and eastern pipistrelle are other species affected by white nose syndrome. Little brown bats in particular make up the most known cases and deaths from white nose syndrome. Human activity can be viewed as the link between white nose syndrome and the decline of bat populations. During hibernation, bats are vulnerable to various threats, few being vandalism, touring caves, and splunking. An example of vandalism would be where 3 boys in Carter Cave State Park trampled and stoned 10,000 bats. While going from cave to cave, people unknowingly spread or track in white nose syndrome. Splunkers can wake hibernating bats, causing them to be aroused, depleting their fat resources, ultimately ending in starvation or death. Coolworth describes the various ways in which animals are killed. The 3 threats described depict bats either being slaughtered, destroyed, or murdered. In each of the threats described, bats are either subjected to disturbed hibernation patterns, vandalized caves, or death, resulting in unnecessary pain. In 1983, a recovery plan was made in order to combat the population decline of Indiana bats. Despite efforts, the Indiana bat population still declined. There was an estimated decline of 350,000 in 1997. Contacting your local wildlife agency will give you tips and clues on how to help the bats. For example, touring caves can lead to white nose syndrome or disrupting bats during hibernation. Learning how to disinfect your clothes, gear, and shoes will allow you to stop the spread. Also, knowing where bats hibernate will allow you to avoid contact and disturbing their hibernation. Located in the eastern region of the United States, the Indiana bat helps control for pests, which makes it valuable to humans. To protect the Indiana bat during the winter, it is crucial to know where the hibernating sites are located, as well as where the sites of white nose syndrome are located. This information can be gathered from contacting your local wildlife agency. Also, disinfecting your gear while underground helps prevent the spread of white nose syndrome, a disease that kills hibernating bats during the winter, causing them to lose their fat reserves and leave the cave in search for food. Although scientists have no results when it comes to researching white nose syndrome or the causes for it, there are several scientists still searching for answers. Biologist Deanne Reeder at Bucknell University in Pennsylvania plans to study how bats hibernate. Paul Crayon, a research biologist at the U.S. Geological Survey's Fort Collins Science Center in Colorado, states that not enough is known about the bats or white-nose syndrome, that there is no way to fight the syndrome. David Blehert, a director of microbiology in Wisconsin, has identified the fungus associated with white-nose syndrome. This discovery allows for a new way to treat white-nose syndrome in the future.